You're not going to believe what just happened on live television, guys. Chuck Schumer, the man who promised Americans responsible leadership. He just had one of the most humiliating moments of his entire political career. In fact, it happened in real time in front of millions of people, and it's already being called the shutdown moment that ended the Democrat illusion. Because as Chuck Schumer fumbled and stumbled and claimed that he couldn't hear, I guess he didn't have his hearing aid in, the reporter, he was blaming the fact that he was saying he couldn't hear the reporter asking why his shutdown backfired. Guys, at that point, that's when the truth finally came crashing through. In fact, the polls are in, the numbers are brutal, and for once, the American people, they're united on something. I thought it would never happen. They've had enough of the lies. Now, Fox News just dropped the data, and it's an absolute massacre for the Democrats. Majority of voters are actually saying that the Schumer shutdown was a political stunt. And it punished the workers, it hurt families, and it exposed the party's arrogance. Drop a 1 down below if you know someone who was directly affected by this shutdown. I want to hear from you guys, and let me know your stories because I want to read through and possibly even share them in a future video. And get this, guys, even independents, the same voters Democrats counted on for years, they're now saying that they trust President Donald J. Trump to fix Washington's chaos far more than anyone on the left. Drop a 47 if you support Donald Trump. In fact, drop a 47 if you think that Donald Trump is the only one that could fix Washington's chaos. Meanwhile, the same polls are actually showing capitalism crushing socialism 3-1 across the country, proving that Americans still believe in hard work, not some handouts, not some entitlements, if you know what I'm saying, for Social Security recipients. So when you see Chuck Schumer's deer in the headlights meltdown on live TV, remember this, guys. It's not just embarrassment. This is symbolism. In fact, it is the collapse of a narrative that spent years trying to protect this thing. And so as the numbers are rolling in, the media just can't spin it anymore. The Democrats can't hide it. And the people finally, they're speaking louder than the propaganda because this isn't just a political loss for the Democrats. This is the sound of an entire movement that's imploding under the weight of its own hypocrisy. It's rather sad. But stick with me, guys, because what we're about to break down, this will shock Washington to its core. I want to go ahead and expose the polls, the meltdown, the panic, and more importantly, why this shutdown right here, folks, may be remembered as the moment that Trump's America finally took back control. Hit the like button, subscribe. We got some stuff to cover. All right, so you can kind of feel the panic ripple through Washington the moment that Fox News polls dropped. Schumer toured the Capitol insisting that the shutdown was Trump's fault. Guys, was it Trump's fault or was it more like Chuck Schumer or Hakeem Jeffries? Well, all of a sudden the data hit. A clear majority of voters now blame Democrats and reject Schumer's spending package. This is not a tie. This was not spin. This was repudiation. Even CNN went quiet when independents broke and Trump's approval held near 45. I don't know if I've ever seen it that high. I mean, this is not a rebound. This is continuity. Voters reward steadiness while Democrats gamble with our paychecks. Well, Chuck Schumer's shutdown became the Schumer shakedown, and the country said no to that. So here's why it humiliated him, okay? So the narrative collapsed overnight. Federal workers missed checks. Families noticed this. I mean, can you imagine missing your paycheck because the government made some stupid decision and it wasn't even in your best interest to begin with? It was just because they want to save their own jobs? Anyway, the House plans moved, the Senate stonewalled, and every excuse evaporated under new numbers. In fact, the public didn't buy the theatrics. You guys are smarter than that. You guys have been telling me this for a long time. You're not buying what they're selling. They wanted government open and honest. That was it. The poll wasn't just bad news. This was a verdict. And Schumer was on the losing side again. Then came the clip that really sealed the story. So a reporter asked Chuck Schumer if the poll changed his shutdown strategy. He blinked. He glanced off camera, looked off to the side and said, "I can't hear you. I can't hear you." Oh, he heard. America heard. Within hours, the 6-second dodge went viral on cable shine reels. Guys, it wasn't just awkward. This was like emblematic. If you won't answer a question, you won't answer a nation of travelers, TSA agents, and families wondering why politics outranks their paychecks. Memes captured it. Can't hear the voters. It's unbelievable. So that line right there, guys, that line right there turned into a metaphor for the party. Insulated, defensive, allergic to accountability. Meanwhile, so while paychecks stalled, Schumer stalled. While airports strained, Chuck Schumer strained the truth. So the clip it didn't create the collapse, it revealed it. In fact, voters spoke up. Leadership pretended not to listen. They're not going to get away with that. They're not going to get away with this time. We're not going to let it happen. So while Chuck Schumer dodged, Speaker Mike Johnson, he did the exact opposite. He produced receipts. So at his presser, Johnson mapped the timeline. House Republicans advanced targeted funding. The Senate bottled it up. I mean, then he went ahead and dropped the poll figures aloud. Most voters blame Democrats. Independents are breaking toward Trump, and, well, momentum favors reopening without Schumer's add-ons. So the delivery really mattered because Speaker Mike Johnson, he stayed calm, unflappable. He cited missed federal paychecks, air traffic, staffing stress, and businesses getting squeezed by uncertainty, consequences created by a Senate stalemate. Reporters, they tried interrupting, but he just kept returning to the numbers, votes, and dates. That contrast right there, guys, the facts versus the theatrics, this was devastating for the Dems. In fact, it exposed the shutdown as leverage and not leadership. So within hours, Democratic talking points and they essentially pivoted from Republicans won't negotiate to a very vague process chatter. Translation, the pressure flipped. Now, for the very first time since day one, the left looked reactive. Johnson, he didn't grandstand at all. He prosecuted the case and the cameras captured every exhibit. Now, smart retirees, they know one thing. You don't gamble with Medicare, that's for sure. You get educated, you review your options, and you protect your future. This is why so many are calling Chapter right now. They give you the facts about Medicare for free, and they let you make the decision that's best for you, not for anyone else. Now, one of our viewers, she said, Chapter didn't pressure me, they educated me. That is why I trusted them with my Medicare plan. I love that. So let me ask you, when the smart choice is obvious, do you want to ignore it, or do you want to do what most people are already doing? Now, most people, they're dialing that phone number right there at the bottom of your screen, or they're visiting askchapter.org/Ron. And that telephone number again is 909-563-8279. Now, through the noise, President Donald J. Trump, he projected steadiness. So while the pundits chased blame, he met with airline leaders and military families, emphasizing continuity of services and a reopening path. The image was simple. Let government function, debate policy, stop holding paychecks hostage. That's it. Does anybody want their paycheck held hostage? Does that even sound fair? Drop a 47 down below if you're with Trump on releasing the paychecks to the people. Now, asked if the shutdown would dent his presidency, he answered, the people know who's fighting for them. The polling trend line backed it up. Approval steady near mid-40s. Trust on the economy is intact. Independents are moving his way. No chest thumping, no theatrics, just discipline, guys. Meanwhile, Chuck Schumer, Hakeem Jeffries, they slid into defensive interviews and all sorts of gobbledygook. Voters noticed contrast. It was obvious. Like on the one side, they're working the problem, but the other side is working the cameras. You know what I'm saying? There's a big difference between the two. Stability beats the stunts. This is why the left's scare tactics fizzled. Trump didn't need headlines. He needed outcomes, and the public rewarded that posture, not the panic. So when the full crosstabs from the Fox News survey hit DC, insiders called it the poll heard around Washington. Get this, guys. Republicans gained 8 points in national favorability ever since the shutdown began. This is an unheard of swing in 2 weeks. In fact, the takeaway was unmistakable. Americans, they're tired of chaos disguised as compassion. Now, for years, Democrats weaponized gridlock, hoping frustration would splash back on conservatives. Instead, voters are now saying that the party causing the stalemate deserves the blame. In fact, the same poll shows trust in congressional Republicans on fiscal discipline climbing to its highest level since 2016. So what this means is that every day that the government stays closed, Schumer loses ground. Staffers whispered about internal panic, but it was already too late. The narrative had already flipped. What began as an attack line on President Trump turned into proof that Washington and their dysfunction lives inside of Schumer's Senate office. Now, one poll did what months of hearings couldn't do. It exposed the truth. Now, then came the second bombshell. This is the bombshell that was hiding in the same data set. This is a question about economic values. 3-1, Americans chose capitalism over socialism. Independents sided overwhelmingly with free enterprise, and even younger voters, split nearly down the middle. It shattered the illusion that socialism was somehow cool. Socialism ain't cool to me. Schumer's $1.5 trillion spending package suddenly looked radioactive. In fact, analysts admitted the bill read like a progressive wish list, subsidies for everything, accountability for nothing. The contrast was devastating. Trump cutting waste while Schumer demanded more. Commentators joked that Democrats accidentally turned capitalism into a populist cause. Voters weren't demanding utopia. They wanted stability. They want business growth. And they want their paychecks that clear the bank. You know what I'm saying here? Anyway, so one strategist called it the socialism shock, a wake up for the left that the country's moral center still prizes work over welfare. The people who build America just sent their leaders a striking message. Stop selling us dreams. Start respecting the effort. Now, inside the Democratic Party, the panic is turning inward. You got moderates, they're begging for compromise, pleading with Chuck Schumer to cut a deal and reopen the government. Meanwhile, progressives insist on doubling down. It's crazy. It's really become a circular firing squad on live television. Now, on the one side, you got senators warning that they're losing their swing states. They're warning. I mean, it's crazy. Now, on the other hand, you got activists threatening primaries for anyone who's daring to talk with Republicans. But the result? Paralysis. No one's seeing the ship. The Biden era's divide between governing and performing, this has become a chasm. So look, staff leaders, the staff leaks describe shouting matches that are happening behind closed doors. Donors are freezing their contributions. Democrats spent years branding themselves the party of unity, but the shutdown just exposed their fractured lies. Guys, it's not Trump dividing them. It's their own refusal to choose between power and principle. The collapse, it's not coming from outside anymore. In fact, the collapse is coming from inside. It's self-inflicted. So for a week, legacy media outlets, they were parroting Chuck Schumer's talking points. Republicans caused the shutdown. Right? But when the polling flipped, so did their tone. CNN anchors stumbled through transitions, quietly acknowledging voter frustrations with Democrats. I couldn't believe myself. I was seeing the headlines. I was like, I cannot believe that CNN is actually admitting that the Democrats are at fault now. MSNBC shifted from outrage to awkward silence. Dead silence, guys. Anderson Cooper's panel even admitted that independent voters, they don't see Trump as the problem. What? Anderson Cooper? Yes, Anderson Cooper admitted that. That admission right there, that one just totally cracked the narrative. So once the dam broke, the clips flooded social media, hosts looking stunned as live fact checks contradicted their scripts. Voters noticed. Ratings dropped, confidence cratered. The same networks that spent years shielding Democrats are now scrambling to protect themselves. So even when your echo chamber stops echoing we already know it's over. Guys, we all know mainstream media, call out your favorites, CNN, MSNBC, they have always played cover for the Democrats. And now even them, they're kind of like slowly backing away. They're moving away from the Democrats. This is an unprecedented time in history, folks. I'm so glad to be sharing this news with you. If you appreciate the news updates, hit the like button, subscribe. But the media didn't lose control of the message. They just lost control of the illusion. In fact, the people, they're seeing it now. We've been talking about this for I don't know how long, and we're finally getting through the cover up. And I really got to thank you guys for sharing these videos and helping us get the message out, because we've been dealing with a lot of suppression and you guys have helped us to overcome that. But the fight is not over. So thank you so much for sharing this video and all of these videos. The cover up, the collapsed live, it collapsed under their own hypocrisy, guys. The first real cracks didn't appear in Congress. They appeared in the pay stubs. Guys, TSA agents. You ever go through the airport and you're wondering why some of these TSA agents are so angry? Anybody ever experienced that? Or maybe it's just me. Anyway, TSA agents, FAA controllers, the contract workers missed their first full paycheck since the shutdown began. And the backlash, oh, that was instant. Check this out. The outrage wasn't aimed at Trump. The outrage from the TSA agents who didn't get their paychecks, it was aimed straight at Schumer. Workers flooded social media with messages like, stop playing politics with our livelihoods. A Virginia TSA supervisor told local news, we kept the airports running. They kept the Senate closed. That soundbite hit harder than any campaign ad. Even federal union leaders, long aligned with Democrats, admitted that the shutdown strategy was miscalculated. Translation, they know that they're losing their own base. Trump, meanwhile, he just kept on promising back pay and relief measures to struggling families. That sounded like leadership to me. Now, to Democrats, it sounded like defeat echoing through the bureaucracy. Meanwhile, Beyond the Beltway, everyday Americans are making a very simple judgment call. Who delivers peace? Who delivers pandemonium? Polls show law and order and border security are once again the top two concerns nationwide, all 50 states. And both are now favoring Republicans by double digits. Now, President Trump's deployment of federal resources in crime hotspots like Chicago and Philadelphia is winning praise, even from critics who once opposed him. People just want stability. They want to walk down a street without fear and knowing that their government isn't staging chaos for headlines. Now, if you contrast with the Democrats cheering protest budgets and refusing to fund police overtime, the optics are rather brutal. After years of noise, Americans are turning out. The country is tired of performative outrage. They're choosing order. They're choosing security and accountability over endless political theater. So now, here's where the shutdown narrative truly imploded. The economy didn't flinch. Inflation kept falling, gas prices dipped again, and retail optimism surged going into the fourth quarter. In fact, the Biden-era hangover was fading fast, and voters, well, they knew exactly why. Trump's policies are working. Under his administration, the Treasury prioritized domestic manufacturing, slashed federal waste, and kept small business credit lines open despite gridlocks in Congress. Meanwhile, Chuck Schumer stood in front of cameras blaming corporate greed. That excuse fell flat on its face. In fact, the data was undeniable. Guys, groceries inflation. I mean, I don't know how much your average grocery bill is, but mine hasn't been climbing anymore. Their data is actually showing that grocery inflation is down 3%. Energy costs are stable. Consumer confidence is climbing. The more the numbers improved, the worse Democrats looked. So check this out. You can't sell panic during prosperity. You know, if people feel like they're winning, you can't freak them out and make them panic because they already know the truth. Chuck Schumer's talking points sounded more like reruns of Biden's years. Meanwhile, Trump's results look more like the comeback that everybody's been waiting on. So nothing exposed the Democrats' implosion more than the new polling on ideology. The same Fox News survey revealed that younger Democrats are embracing socialism. Meanwhile, older voters, the ones who actually turn out, they're fleeing the party. Guys, that's not renewal. That is a civil war. They're falling like flies. The polls showed a 30-point gap inside the Democratic base itself. 30 points, folks. One strategist called it generational whiplash. What was once the party of JFK is now flirting with Karl Marx, and it's not resonating beyond Twitter. Chuck Schumer's socialist-leaning budget demands really kind of became a symbol of how detached the party's elites are from working-class Americans. Even union households are now ranking capitalism, jobs, and stability above ideology. I never thought I would ever say that. So when people are choosing between gas, their gas bills, groceries, their light bill, revolutionary economics doesn't sound inspiring. It sounds rather reckless. And voters are not buying this crap anymore. They've seen this movie before. So here's what's really genius about Trump's approach right now. He's letting Democrats destroy themselves in real time. Every press conference, every angry headline, every meltdown, all it does is amplify his message without him having to say a word. It's not silence, it's strategy. His surrogates, Caroline Leavitt, J.D. Vance, even Byron Donalds, they've been doing the heavy lifting, dismantling Chuck Schumer's talking points line by line across every network. They don't shout, they just show the receipts. Trump and his team knows action and attention is the new currency. The more the Democrats panic, the richer his message becomes. He's not chasing the outrage cycle. He's timing it. It's like a chess player letting the opponent extend, or in fact, in this case, overextend before striking the chessboard clean. Now, this is the art of the counterpunch on full display, and it's working, guys. This Washington noise is Trump's soundtrack for victory. What do you think about that? And so now we've kind of reached this turning point here, and we're at this voter revolt situation. So poll after poll is showing that Americans are completely done with the drama. Drop a end the drama today if you're done with the drama, right? So they're rejecting the shutdown lies, the socialist slogans, the media gaslighting. I'm about so tired of them blowing smoke up our butts, aren't you? I mean, the silent majority isn't being silent anymore. In fact, we're roaring back with receipts. Truckers, teachers, small business owners, mom and pop shop owners, farmers, people from every walk of life are realizing that President Trump's America First agenda is not extreme. It's just common sense. Meanwhile, Chuck Schumer's Senate feels like an echo chamber for a country that no longer lives anymore. So November's message is already written. Lead or get out of the way. okay? I want to repeat that. November's message is already written. Lead or get the heck out of the way. The people are awake. The polls are flipped. The narrative has collapsed. And if Chuck Schumer thought that this shutdown was bad, wait until he sees the ballot box. America has just reclaimed its voice, and it's deafening. Hit the like button, subscribe. We'll see you next time.